Okay, here we go. So it's been a little hectic this morning getting everything started, but I'm just going to scroll through here and look at your beautiful faces. And a lot of you I see are not showing me your faces, which is fine. I mentioned I was in a workshop last week, and it was for all of us in the medical field that are working in COVID. And I was shocked how many doctors were laying down in their bed talking. So I want to say something about that. If you're having a rough day and you really are not in the mood for full learning or engagement, I don't expect you to have to sit up if you're really exhausted or you just need a timeline where you need to lay down for a little bit or step away or go outside or whatever. So I just want you to know that. I also do want to, people just keep coming in. I do want to ask one other question. If anyone could, let me see if it works on I have an iPad, so it's a little different. I was curious if anyone is not Buddhist that's here. You are welcome, but so could you raise your hand if you're not Buddhist? I'm going to just scroll through. I can't tell with the people who I can't see. You could always send me a chat if you're not Buddhist, just so I know. And it doesn't really make a difference. The only thing I want to say is you're always welcome to events like this. And some of the deity practices, there are more restrictions, but because of Medicine Buddha and the aspirations he made, which were so vast and all-encompassing for everyone to remove their suffering, this practice doesn't have as many restrictions as many of our others do. Of course, it would be wonderful at some point if you could have an empowerment, a reading transmission, and instruction. But at this point, everyone is welcome in this class. And as Buddhists, we don't convert. I just want everyone to know that. So before we begin, I would like everyone just to sit up straight. If you're seated, just breathe. I want you just to breathe for 5 breaths. Just relax. Relax your diaphragm. Thank you. So today's class, we will be talking specifically about Medicine Buddha's practice. And many of you may already be following at our monastery, Karma Triana Dharma Chakra in Woodstock, New York. There is a wonderful program every Saturday night by Khenpo Ujin Tinley and translated by Khenpo Sanjay. So it's amazing to have 2 abbots in front of you, in the main shrine room of KTC. So many of us, I think we feel very homesick to see the monastery. So it's wonderful to see that. And he has been going through many different practices, but for quite some time, he has been, they are talking about the Sutra of Medicine Buddha, particularly regarding the 7 Medicine Buddhas. There's many Medicine Buddhas. And in the visualization today, it will also include that. But I want just to invite you, and I'll remind you at the end of this, check that out. You can go back on YouTube. It's under Karma Triana Dharma Chakra. And you can go on YouTube and look at the past ones. I think it started, the Medicine Buddha ones in April. And they're just amazing talks. They're only an hour. And then on Sunday night, they do the practice. So today's plan is, after we finish a little housekeeping, we'll have a break at 11:15. I really want to make sure, and anytime you need to get up and stretch, or whatever you need to do. I would encourage, in regarding chatting, I'm sometimes in so many different Zoom talks where people, I think they spend the whole time chatting, oh, whose cat is that? Ellen, that's such a cute cat. See, I get really distracted. So I want to make sure that you know that we will go through the practice and we're going to do it together. And so we had posted a few different texts out there. But before we begin, I really want to touch on this. These are really hard times. There's no question about it. These are times of such suffering of the pandemic, all the social injustice that many of us might have been blinded to, and that is all that pain that has come forward. This is an exciting time and a hard time at the same time. The situation right now in Beirut, the hurricanes and Mother Nature, many of those situations, it's a time of unknown. We don't know what's next. Many people don't want to know if their jobs will come back. How are they going to eat? How are they going to pay the rent? What about their children? It's truly a time of suffering. So I'm really touched that Khenpo Ujin started teaching on Medicine Buddha. And so today's class, I would call it, is kind of Medicine Buddha 101 on how to do a deity practice, the visualization. And it's a really beautiful practice. And maybe now I should talk about why Medicine Buddha. I'm going to look at my notes because I think sometimes it's important to touch on certain things. So I mentioned that Medicine Buddha was mentioned in the sutras. So Medicine Buddha, so the sutras are the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha, our historical Buddha, who taught around 100 years before Christ was born, around 500 BC, before the current era. And when he was alive, he did not teach. He taught, but his teachings were not recorded right then at that time. After he died, went into parinirvana, a group of his main students decided maybe we should have a council and meet up and talk about what are we going to do with all these amazing teachings we've received. And they were worried that no one would remember them. And miraculously, they all had a dream, the same dream, and they remembered everything. And then it was all recorded. So the sutras, if you go into a shrine room, like a KTC monastery, and you see, like if you go visit this weekend, oh, that's right, today is Saturday. So tonight, you see Khenpo Ujin. In back of him is a statue of the Buddha, but higher up on the one side are all the sutras of the Shakyamuni Buddha, all the teachings he gave. And on the other side are the commentaries. So what's so amazing is in our current era, which means historically with the Buddha that we know, Shakyamuni, he spoke of Medicine Buddha. And I'm going to read what he had. So there was 3 different times where there were sutras written regarding Medicine Buddha. One reviewed all the benefits and particularly the aspirations Medicine Buddha made. So before he became a Buddha, he was an ordinary being. I'm not sure what planet, I'm not sure the timeline, but he made extraordinary aspirations of the famous 12 aspirations. On top of that, the Buddha also spoke of his benefits of doing his practice. And secondly, there was a sutra on the other Medicine Buddhas. And then a last one on the mantras and dharanis, which are longer type of mantras that are full of blessings. So I'm first going to read, I'm going to use this book a great deal. This is my Medicine Buddha Bible. Can you see that I use it a lot? I'm sorry, later on I'll show you another text. But that's right, I forgot. First I'm going to talk about how all this came about. So this is by Trungpa Rinpoche from a teaching he gave in Washington in 1999. But first I'm going to talk a little bit more about the whole history. So there was the sutras from Medicine Buddha, from Shakyamuni Buddha. He spoke and referred this practice that we're going to do today. Also later on, so that was back in Tibet in the 7th century, there was a young gentleman that was born. His name was Namchu Mikyo Dorje. And he was discovered by Karma Chagme Rinpoche, who many of us know and revere. His Khenpo Karcha Rinpoche spoke of this famous teacher who was a very humble teacher that spent a great deal of his life in retreat. But every day, if people wanted teachings, he would go to the door of the cave, because the cave was a huge cavern filled with many, many people practicing. But every day he would go to the front, and if people had questions, he would give them instruction. So part of his life, he was not in retreat. And at that time, he discovered this young man who's Mikio Dorje. And he realized he was only 11 years old, that he had really special qualities. And no monastery had really taken him because he had really unusual behavior. But he decided to keep an eye on him, and he became one of his teachers. And as the years went on, the role reversed. So this text that we're actually using today, that we're touching, is over 300 years old. And it was, Mikio Dorje was a Terten. He was from the Nyingma tradition, where many different texts are revealed physically or mentally. He is of the sky dharma. Nam is sky and Chu is dharma. And he wrote a great deal of text. Our Amitabha text is from him. Many of our, I believe, Marilyn, is our Green Tara from him also? I believe it is. I write on all my texts who composed them. So there were so many. So this text was one of the texts that was revealed to him in a dream. And then he wrote it all down. He gave it to Karma Chagme, who's famous for organizing text. And Karma Chagme then organized it. And this is the text that we have today. And it was approved, of course, by the Karmapa. And so it's a really valid practice done throughout all of Tibet, but has a very holy, a very special background. To know about these sky dharmas are amazing. Mikio Dorje discovered hundreds and hundreds of practices. He also was a revealer of statues. He would go to ancient sites and know exactly where to put his hand in and pull out a statue. He blessed a very young age. He had a great life. And I'm so happy that Karma Chagme was able to work with him and back and forth. And then moving forward in time, Trungpa Rinpoche in 1999 gave an amazing teaching, I believe, in Seattle. And this is a transcript of the teaching. This was the first transcript. You got, this is one of the references to the text, was put into this magazine. Then it was turned into this book. And now there's even a different book for this that I'll show you later. So I will be referring to this a great deal. So I'm going to then now share my own history with this text, this practice. I believe it was, so he taught that in 1999. In 1997, I was blessed in some ways by having physical therapy manipulation and had a brain stem stroke and had to learn to walk and do everything all over again. Khenpo Karchen Rinpoche called me in the hospital wanting to know how I was doing. And he said, as soon as you can, come here. So I went to the monastery and he said, I had to learn the Medicine Buddha practice. Now I couldn't see because my right eye was askew. So he was like 5 people when I would look at him, and I told him, how could I do that? So he had my husband write down the interview, and he said, when I can, get these teachings. Then he notified me 2 years later that these teachings were coming to Seattle. I bought a plane ticket, but physically could not go. So all of my friends, so many friends, sent me the transcript immediately, within days of the teaching. And then I was blessed 2 years later, to go to India with Khenpo Karchen Rinpoche for the first Munlam of the Karmapa. And at the end of the Munlam, so during the plane trip, we had so many stopovers. I have no idea who bought those tickets, but I'm very grateful. Because at every layover, Rinpoche would say, so do you have any other questions about Medicine Buddha? So I asked maybe 50 questions for clarification. And then when I was in India, we got to see Trungpa Rinpoche at his monastery in Sarnath, where the Buddha for the first teachings were held. And there, I actually had an interview with both of them. And I joked, I said, oh, are you examining me now? I was rather nervous in front of both of them. They're like brothers. They were so amazing. So I feel I have great blessings in doing this. So what I'm sharing with you today, I'm not your teacher. I'm just sharing with you these profound texts, how to get to them, how to learn about them. So I just want you to be really clear about this. I'm incredibly ordinary. But one thing I will say, she told me to do this practice until I turned blue. Hold on, more people are coming in. So I never turned blue. I always wanted to paint my face with something blue, but I never got around to it. But I believe it's due to this practice that I'm able to sit here today and talk to you. I'm able to walk the hospitals. I'm able to sit in a car. I couldn't even sit in a car after my stroke. The vibration of moving, taking a corner was too much. And I feel that Medicine Buddha opened my heart in a way that has never been opened before. And I think a great deal of people that are watching this today and participating do different practices that have brought them and changed their lives. And maybe I should touch on that for one moment. No matter what practice you do, do it. Do the practice that your heart speaks of. It's lovely to learn about other practices because there's definitely similarities, especially like this Namchu practices, they're laid out pretty much the same. But they all have the same effect. So you do Chenrezig. Chenrezig can heal you physically and mentally and spiritually. Tara, white Tara, green Tara, Amitabha, your Mundro practice. So you don't have to, so whatever practice you have a very close affinity with, please embrace that. Don't think that you have to do Medicine Buddha if you have an illness. But if you're interested in Medicine Buddha, I'm always around if you request it. And Kemper Urgent is very accessible. Oh, he's so accessible. So please check out his teachings. They're very, very beautiful. Okay, so you'll see me going back and forth looking at things. From now, I'm going to check right now we only are up to 40 people. That's great. And let me share the content for a second with the one text. See if it'll come up again. No, not that one. I did this earlier, it might pop up. Here we go again. I keep having to do this. Hold on, excuse me for moving my iPad. And just close your eyes to my, I'm joking. I think it's because this is a huge PDF. Okay. So this is another text I want you all to be aware of. I can't see your beautiful faces right now. Can you guys see me? If you can't, send me a text. Marilyn, can you see me? Or Achuja? You can unmute yourself.
We can see you. Yeah.
Okay, great. I wasn't sure because all I can see is, oh, now I can see you. Great. So there is a beautiful project called Dharma eBooks. So the word Dharma, D-H-A-R-M-A, and it's a website, and then eBooks. And these are Karma Kagyu texts that have been compiled by some of the best translators in our lineage. This one was, this is a beautiful book. Let me just change this. And this is by Michelle Martin. And Michelle Martin also did the other work of Medicine Buddha. So she has a great, and she was really happy that for me to explain this to the class, that this was here. So I just want you to know about this, that that this is out there, and it's a really wonderful thing to look at. And we did send a link earlier. I'm just going to look right now. No more participants, yay. Okay, and let's see. Okay. So now you can get out your text, whatever it is, or you can use this as a text, because I'm going to scroll through this. And this is the actual sadhana, or the text. Also, the handouts, there is a handout that you do not have to use now, but later on it will be really nice if you used it. I will refer to the Tibetan text, and so On the Tibetan text, the one from KTD, I'm sorry, I forgot to make a PDF of that. The title of that is A Stream of Lapis Lazuli, a ceremony of Sanjay Menla compiled from among the sky dharma brilliant expanse and treasures. And let's see what Michelle chose for her translation. I always love to see what people. Her translation is A Deep Blue Stream of Sadhana of Medicine Buddha. She worked with Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche and Changpa Rinpoche to translate this text, just to let you know. And the first part is a supplication. So this text is divided into 4 sections, or maybe 3. There's the preliminary work, which includes a supplication, refuge, and transforming our entire world to purity. Next is the generation stage. We'll talk about that when we get to it. And then after that, we'll spend time, and that goes all the way through to the mantra. And then at the very end, where we dissolve everything, that is called the completion stage. So that's pretty much how this is all organized. So first there is a supplication. And so I thought it might be nice, you could read it in English as you're reading, and I mean, you can read with me. Now let's see, I see a hand. I'm just learning. Hi, I can't remember why I should be able to do so. Oh, you must be able to hear me. Thank you. So let's begin. I'm just going to read it in English. I'm going to see how it looks in my text. I think I'll use the Tibetan text in front of me here on the screen, but your text might be slightly different depending on who. I believe Lama Yeshe translated this text. So in the Namshu text, they always have a supplication in front of it. Whereas other sadhanas, like Chenrezig, we just dive right into the visualization or refuge. So this one always has one in front of it. And what's really nice about it is that it has supplication. So it kind of reminds you of what you're going to be visualizing and why you're even doing this practice. And the purpose is to invoke and receive the blessings of Medicine Buddha. So the 9 supplications include addressing Medicine Buddha based on his initial aspiration when he was a bodhisattva and due to his supreme merit. The second one is again his aspiration regarding being born human. The third and fourth are aspirations regarding hearing his name if you're in the hell realms or the jealous realms. The seventh, I'll go back, the 5th are the other Medicine Buddhas. The 6th supplication, these are 4 lines each, is the Medicine Buddha Mandala, then the supplication of speech, and the supplication lineage from India, Tibet, and lastly, dedication of merit. So now I'm going to have this in front of us on the screen, and this will be the only part today where we actually just read in English. So the first supplication, endowed with an ocean-like treasury of qualities and merit, you calm the torment of suffering living beings endure. With the blessing of your inconceivable compassion, I supplicate you, deep blue light. The second, those bound by intense greed are born in the realm of hungry ghosts. Yet hearing your name, they're born as humans who delight in generosity. Victorious Medicine Buddha, I supplicate you. Violating morality and abusing others, living beings are born in the realms of hell. Yet hearing your name, they're born into higher realms. King of Medicine, I supplicate you. The next one, through repeated dissension and slander, deep schisms are created and lives are taken. Yet hearing your name, they no longer can cause harm. King of Medicine, I supplicate you. By the way, the mantra, part of the mantra, actually the whole mantra are different aspects of his name and title, including King of Medicine. The next supplication are the other Medicine Buddhas. And here they're translated, which is nice. One is called Excellent Name. The next is Flawless Appearance of Fine Gold. Then Glorious Supreme One, Free of Misery. Then Resounding Dharma Melody, King of Direct Knowledge, King of Melody, and King of Shakyas. All of you I supplicate. So in this practice today, we're going to, and I'll go over the visualization in a few minutes, but we're going to be Medicine Buddha. There's going to be a Medicine Buddha in front of us with his retinue, the other medicine Buddhas, and then bodhisattvas, and then protectors and yaksha chieftains, and then 4 guardians of the 4 directions. So here it says King of Shakyas because Shakyamuni Buddha is one of them. Then next, this refers to the bodhisattvas that will be surrounding us during the visualization, the frontal. Manjushri, Kapdrul, Vajrapani, Brahma, Indra, the 4 kings of the 4 directions, the 12 great chiefs of the yakshas and others. I supplicate this entire and perfect mandala. Then the Sutra of the 7 Tathagatas aspirations and the Sutra of Medicine Buddha, the treatise by the great abbot Shantarakshita and other texts. I supplicate all volumes of the genuine Dharma. Bodhisattva Shantarakshita, Tisong Detsun and others, the scholars, translators, royal ministers, bodhisattvas, and all the genuine lamas who hold the lineage, Chuk Yuanchuk and others, I supplicate you all. Through the blessings of the supplication, may the many fears and illnesses of this life be pacified. At death, after every fear of a lower rebirth is dispelled, bless us to be reborn in Sukhavati. So then, now we're moving into the actual text. Michelle did a beautiful job. I just thought I would give you just a tiny insight here. What we're looking at right now is the title of the actual text, A Deep Blue Stream, a sadhana of Medicine Buddha compiled from the luminous expanse of mind treasures found within the sky Dharma. And then you see all this tiny writing called Yikchung. It just means tiny text or smaller text. And what I love is she translated it. Namo Bekanzaya, that is glory to Medicine Buddha. If they are available, arrange in front of a Medicine Buddha tanka as many peaceful offerings as you can, such as a mandala or other offerings. That would include water in your bowls, flowers, cookies, tormas, whatever you like to offer that's beautiful. In this way, the accumulations are completed. If these are not available, it is enough to make mental offerings while imagining the front visualization in the sky. Nothing else is needed. Since this belongs to the Anuttara tradition, the practitioner need not refrain from meat and alcohol or perform the rituals of purification, such as taking the blessing of pure water. It is, however, definitely necessary to receive the empowerment and reading transmission from this practice because it belongs to the Anuttara tradition. Since it belongs to the Nyingma tradition, the self and the front visualizations are emanated simultaneously, and it is not necessary to create them separately. As it is chanted meditation and Nyingma, your mind should meditate on the meaning of the words. So I just told you, right, that you didn't have to have the empowerment that is in this text. So I clarified this with Trungpa Rinpoche, and he explained, both in his book so beautifully and to me, that this practice is actually a mixture of sutra qualities and Vajrayana. And because at certain points in this text, we actually visualize bathing Medicine Buddha. That's very much of the ancient ways the texts were done. And in Vajrayana, we don't normally do that, bathe and dry. It has a beautiful meaning though. So in terms of cleanliness, it's always important to have a fairly clean shrine if you can, and try and have a beautiful environment. But you do not have to have the empowerment, but it's wonderful to aspire that someday you will have that opportunity. Now, I could keep going with this text, but I think I just kind of wanted you all to know we're now moving into the main text. So if you have the Tibetan text, I'm going to call the Tibetan text the one, the Pecha one, the blue one I showed you earlier. We're now on page 7. Now, if you have the other text with Medicine Buddha that says Shenpen Oso on it, we're going to be on, let me get the right page. We're on page 58, the middle of the page where it begins Namo Kuncho. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to drop this in front of me because I assume we all have, I'm going to just go off of here for a second. So now I should really have done this housekeeping beforehand. Does anyone not have a text of some kind that you're, so if you don't, please answer in the chat box right now so I know. Okay, so, oh, we got one. Okay, great, thanks, Stacy. I can't realize, should I go to the top or bottom? So it looks like somebody has dropped in one of the texts. Maybe that's my own dropping there of the Dropbox. Okay, so everyone has a text. So as I said earlier, now we're going to pretty much just do the Tibetan. So this is the Tibetan text I'm referring to. This is a Petra format. This is what we normally have at centers. I think it's $10 from Namse Bangsa bookstore. But if you were unable to get that, there was the one that we had that's the 8.5 by 11. The Tibetan is all the same. The important thing is to get to it. So let's do that. So now we are in the Tibetan on 7, and this is going for refuge. So in this practice, we normally, and I just want to make sure when you're done with this class to download this. This is a simple outline of Trungpa Rinpoche's instruction on visualizations. So now we're going to take refuge, which is the function is to prevent your practice from taking the incorrect path. And we're going to be taking refuge in the 3 jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and the uncommon refuge of the 3 roots, the Lama, and the protectors. Also inside of this 4-little phrase prayer is going for taking the Bodhisattva vow. So I thought I would start now, and we could start chanting together in the Tibetan. Just try and follow and not worry how you sound. It's more important what's in your heart. And because it's refuge, we normally have our hands in Anjali or a prayer mudra, where my hands are not exactly flat. They're slightly open. They're not flat like that. They're kind of gently open, as if I'm holding a jewel. You hold it a little bit more towards your heart. Okay. And normally the chant leader hums a note so everyone catches it. Just making sure everyone is here. I think we're doing good. Great. Om Namo Kunjo Sundansa Wahasum Gyabne Namla Gyatsu Chidro Kun Sanjela Gujir Janjo Chotu Semge Do. Now we're going to repeat this 2 more times, but we don't say Namo anymore. We just start at Kunjo. Kunjo Sumdansa Wahasum Yabne Namla Gyatsu Chidro Kun Sanjela Gujir Janju Chotu Semge Do Kunjo Sundansa Wahasum Yabne Namla Gyatsu Chidro Kun Sanjela Gujir Janju Chotu Semge Do. Because most of us are not Tibetan speakers, I'm at home on your own. You can always read the English to yourself. I think, and you can always study the text, pause at any point to enrich your understanding of the practice. So I'm just going to read this for myself. Namo, I go for refuge to the 3 jewels and the 3 roots, the sources of refuge. So the first 2 phrases are just refuge. The last 2 are reminding you of taking your Bodhisattva vow. In order to establish all beings in Buddhahood, generate a mind of supreme awakening. And now, after we do that, we're now going to bless and consecrate the offerings and the location where we are. So it's very simple. We put the hands down on your lap. So in your text, when you put your hands in prayer, you would have like a little pyramid or just an up caret. And then when you put your hands down, you have a down caret. Because I don't know all these things. You should see my text. It's just full of instruction. And that's normal. Okay. We're at Kado. Kadolo ne tu baye namsa gangwe chupe jun mendaga sila moche zeme gyuche puzao. We pause now and we would actually do music here. And if you at home had a bell and dorje, then you could just ring it then. You would hold it at your chest and just hold the bell in your left hand and the dorje in your right, almost like you're holding a tennis racket. And you could just ring it for a tiny bit. If you're in a big gathering, you could, one of us would have cymbals and somebody playing drums, and then the rest of us would play the bells. And just to let you know, I'm probably going to do a secondary class as a refresher for everyone, including the music later on. So let's read this in English. From the expanse of primordial purity, a cloud of offerings, including mandalas, the articles of royalty and goddesses is emanated, filling the earth and sky. May it be inexhaustible. Pudzaho. Pudzaho is Tibetan, where it basically means how wonderful. So it's kind of really breathing some life in your practice. So this is really an important place right now. So first of all, we had the supplication to the beautiful lineage, reminding us of the different components that we're going to be visualizing. Then we did refuge to remind us why we're Buddhists, why we do these practices, and also of our Bodhisattva vow. But now we're shifting directly into the practice. And so here we imagine that the place of practice completely becomes a pure realm. It's filled with mandalas made of beautiful substances. So what is a mandala? We're all a mandala today. It's a gathering. On my shrine, I have a mandala with, so you kind of see it there, with a silver plates. It has rice, and it represents the universe and making offerings to the entire cosmos. So to read this again, imagine the place of practice is completely a pure realm. The whole point of doing a deity practice is to become the Buddha, the medicine Buddha in this practice. And the only way to do that is for everything to become pure, which we don't have any confidence, most of us, that we are medicine Buddha. So throughout this whole morning, I'm going to ask you, who are you? And so we are now, you could say you're pretending it, but we're starting to tap in on our awakened nature, our Buddha nature. That's the whole point of deity practice, is to start awakening to who we truly are. Because from the moment we were conceived, we had the identification of me and you. We didn't realize this is such a bigger picture, that we had the ability to become fully awakened. We kind of cling to another smaller mind. So this whole practice, every deity practice, we change the whole environment, becomes completely pure. And it's filled with beautiful substances. Anything that's beautiful is offered up and is filled. So if we tend to be tight and grasping, let go of that. You're not spending any money here. Just let go of that tightness and fill this entire place with beauty. And the purpose is to readjust our impure perception and attitude towards ourself, you, and our entire environment, which is really very special. And that's why we then offer music, because it's a really wonderful thing. And this is the core, to remind you constantly, later on while you're doing the practice, remind yourself you've now transformed everything to purity. And the next two stanzas is, we can chant them. Trokunde dendo ngadra telenyame tanyon shok. These are the four immeasurables we're familiar with from Chenrezig, but they're applicable to all practices. May all beings be happy. May they all be without suffering. May they abide in unimpeded happiness and joy. And may they experience equanimity. And now we begin the next phase of the practice. So far we did supplication, refuge. We then transformed everything to purity, reminding ourselves of our aspirations of helping all beings. And now we start to do the transformational work. Now, I know I said we're going to have a break now, but forget it. We have to wait at least 20 minutes or 15. Is that okay? So you can give me a thumbs up. If it's not okay, go to the bathroom right now. And I'm joking. I'm not joking. Go do whatever you need to do. Because it's kind of important to get this part. This is kind of nitty gritty of the whole practice. Next, I'm going to talk about the visualization. So from this point forward, I'm going to see how many pages. Actually, it's only a few pages where you really start doing the visualization. And Trungpa Rinpoche, so many places in his book and so many teachings I've been to, talks about, don't worry if you don't think you're getting it right. Don't worry if you can't visualize you're a Buddha. Don't worry if you can't visualize one in front of you, that the sky is filled with blessings and Buddhas. But he said, but don't give up trying, because it's very different than how we limit our world. So whenever I'm in the hospital, I'm having a really hard night, I'm having a lot of deaths, I instantly think of Amitabha and change it to Amitabha's realm. And it helps me. It helps me to be able to move forward and realize that my world is so small. And with this practice particularly, it's all about healing our body, our mind, our spirit, our emotions, our environment, our situation in life right now. So we have to really remember that. It's always there. Okay, so now we begin with an unusual phrase. And many of you that are practitioners, well, you know it right off. It's Om Sobawa Shuddha Sarva Dharma Sobawa Shuddha Hom. So I want you all, I'm going to say, I want you to repeat after me. Om Sobawa Shuddha Sarva Dharma So Shuddha Hom. I'm sorry, in the Tibetan, the hum, it looks like ham, but we don't do ham in this practice. So it's really hum. Okay, I'll do it again. Om Sobawa Shuddha Sarva Dharma Sobawa Shuddha Hom. And all together fully, and you can say it with me. Om Sobawa Shuddha Sarva Dharma Sobawa Shuddha Hom. So what are we saying? Lama, I was really happy that Lama Yeshe was the translator for this teaching, because he does such a great job on this phrase. I think I have the translation here. So the translation is, not only are all things pure in their nature, but they are in and of themselves the very embodiment of that purity. So again, we're talking about purification. So again, it means not only are all things pure in their nature, but they are in and of themselves the very embodiment of purity. So they're pure in nature and the embodiment of it. Again, you're purifying your perception of the world, including your body and mind and the environment. And the mantra is a statement as to why the path can actually lead to the result. So kind of backing up for a second, Trungpa Rinpoche said regarding the visualization stage, this is to prepare for visualization of the self in the frontal medicine Buddha. And we're going to be visualizing ourselves as medicine Buddha, which is the cause of blessings to enter into you. And then you're visualizing medicine Buddha in front of you. And that causes the blessing of medicine Buddha. So simultaneously, the visualization of the frontal medicine Buddha is happening. And that serves as an object of one to supplicate and a field of making offerings. So there's, even though in some visualizations you are the deity or you just have one deity, here we're having a little bit more busyness and activity, which is fine. So that's why it's nice to study this, but remind yourself At Trungpa, she said it's very important to visualize yourself as Medicine Buddha. It's easy to think of something externally, but to actually, I think it really rubs somewhere within us where we don't feel we're good enough for that. How could I be a Buddha? Well, as Buddhists, that's our goal, is to become a Buddha. And so that's what's really beautiful about these practices. So we did the Om Svabhava, and so it's very common, and it's the way it's done in almost all sadhanas. Many times things are said in Sanskrit. So this Om Svabhava is kind of a Sanskritized mantra, a phrase. It's kind of Sanskrit-y, but the Tibetans put it into their own, but it's still very genuine. So often when something is in Sanskrit, then the Tibetans repeat it in English, in their own language, so then they understand it. So now we're going to just chant, not sing, but chant the next page, including the end of this one. It begins with Toma Tompani Du Gyur. And I'm going to stop at different places because we pause because of grammatical situation. Tompe Nanle, and you can follow me. Tom Sundi Tana Dungi Pojong Du Gyurpe Nandu Senge Tree Peda Sosor Tendu Rani Dan Dunke Ki Suwo Sabun Hunga Tingale Mela Kudok Benderya Tabu Uzir Trova Kuchen Gu Chugu Sugi Lupa Chaye Chojin Arura Dang Yunnan Jaluk Ze Zinpa Sepe Zokshin Dorje Hildrungi Jukpa Kepar Du Dunkeki Dama Namla Tuwa Lasso Pe Sanje Dudang Dala Wan Chokur. So this is all a very special type of visualization. What I love about some Tibetan texts are very terse. It takes a lot of digging to figure out what you're visualizing. This practice, because most of these texts were revealed when he was only like 13 years of age, and they say there was a real freshness and simplicity to how the texts are written, and very direct. So here we go. I'm on page 7 in the Tibetan text. Does anyone need to know where we are? You can just put your hand up or just send me a note. Helder, do you have any text?
I just found it. Thank you.
You're down the street from me. I could have given you a text.
No, I got it.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay, so I'm at the bottom of page 7, after the Om Svabhava, the very last line, line 3, the last sikam, the last phrase, Tompani, where it says everything becomes emptiness. Is there anyone that has the other text? That is on page 59. The black and white. And it's in the middle of the page, right? You'll see Om Svabhava all by itself. And then you see Tompani Du Gyur. So I think we're all there. So we just chanted it in Tibetan. Now we're going to learn what it said. Everything becomes emptiness. We already heard that, right? From emptiness, these billion worlds arise as the palace of beauty. Inside it, on individual lion thrones, lotuses and moons. I'll pause. So here, each deity, all the 7 of the 8 medicine Buddhas are actually on thrones. They look just like beautiful chairs. But on top of that is, it says, where am I? Lion thrones. And so there's a lotus, kind of a flat lotus, kind of opened up, very beautiful, but very big enough for someone to sit on. And on top of that is a flat moon disc. So if you ever look at some of your tankas, your Tibetan paintings, the bigger ones, you can see this. The Buddhas are often, hold on, it's time for iconography 101. Let me get this up here. I've got to have some photos of medicine Buddhas somewhere. See, there's my husband's haircut. No, I'm joking. I'm sorry. God, stop it. Stop it, Gabby. Let me go and look for a good photo of medicine. That's not Buddha. Let's show you. Please excuse me for all my stuff. Okay. So here, this is Medicine Buddha with the other Medicine Buddha surrounding him. And if you look at the central Medicine Buddha, do you see where his hand is on with a tiny plant coming out of it? You see a little white ring at the bottom? That is the moon disc that he's sitting on top of the lotus. And on top of that is a little throne. So there he is. He's on a throne, a lotus, and moon. So there's a lot of symbolism to this, but the moon disc particularly symbolizes that he's a peaceful practice. If it was Mahakala, might have a sun underneath him. And Dorje Chang has both a sun and a moon. He's both peaceful and a wrathful practice. So there's all this other symbolism I'm not going to get into, but I just wanted to show you this. So this is nice. We should have this up while I'm going through this part. So let's keep going. Again, I'm going to start over again, the bottom of page 7. Everything becomes emptiness. From emptiness, these billion worlds arise as a palace of beauty. Inside this palace, on individual lion thrones, I'm just looking here. Do you see, if you're looking at the picture I have in front of me, do you see the 2 snow lions? And so if you're looking below the lotus, there's a bunch of little flowers, and on either side are tiny little snow lions. Those are the lions. Individual lion thrones, lotuses, and moons. So inside it is that, and on top of the moon, Medicine Buddha isn't here yet. There is a syllable home. Now, if you look at your text on page 8, second line, the very first syllable is a home. If that's too weird for you, just think of a blue light. So inside, on individual lion thrones, lotuses, and moons are blue homes. The seeds of myself, and I'm going to go over this in much more detail. And the principle of the front generation. From these arise Menla, who is blue, radiating light rays like lapis lazuli. He is adorned by the 3 Dharma robes. So he is dressed as a Buddha. He has no jewelry on him, and he is primarily looks just like Shakyamuni Buddha, except for his hand position, and that his body is blue in color. His right hand holds a Aurora with a mudra of supreme generosity. Aurora is considered, you might have heard of an ancient plant, myrobalan. It would heal anything. His left holds a begging bowl and mudra of even placement, and it is filled with healing amrita or dutsi, or healing liquid substance. He is completely adorned by the major and minor marks of a Buddha and is seated in Vajra posture, meaning both in lotus posture, you would say, in yoga. On the petals, now this is what's different a little bit from what we're looking at right now. On the petals of the front generation, so we're going to talk about 2 visualizations. One, you are Medicine Buddha. And I think the most important thing is just keep it really simple. Keep one of them simple so you can visualize. Later on, you can really make it very elaborate. But pretty much you're a Medicine Buddha. But in front of you, there's much more going on. Let's see. I'm at the bottom of page 8. On the petals of the front visualization in particular are 7 Buddhas, such as Munidra. They usually just say 1. And it'd be nice if I was at the right page. And Dharma books. Surrounding them are 16 bodhisattvas. Surrounding them are the 10 guardians of the world and the 12 great chiefs and the retinues. And at the 4 gates of the palace are the 4 great kings that are like protectors there. So I just want to go over the visualization now. Now I'll take this off. So for the visualization, you visualize you are Medicine Buddha seated on a throne, but you're not yet there. You visualize, instead of where you are, who you are, there is a throne, there is a lotus, there is a moon disk, and sitting straight up is the syllable home. Home. In front of you is very similar. There is the throne, the lotus, and the home. Now, I just want to look at this one more time. This is the tricky part. I don't want to give it in the wrong order. So maybe I'll just follow my hand out for a second. So visualize all impure appearance dissolves into emptiness. From within that realm, there is a realm. There's the palace of medicine Buddha emerges. You visualize two palaces, one in front and one in the center, of which you will sit once you become medicine Buddha. The one in the front is above, in front of you, facing you, and slightly above, and which will serve for the residents of the frontal visualization and entourage. So again, you're a medicine Buddha. And then the frontal palace in the center is the main medicine Buddha, and surrounding him are 7 other medicine Buddhas. And right in front of him, and between, you might say, us and that. So there is a ring, and then between us are the text of medicine Buddha. They're also seated on the throne and lotus and moon, because all the texts, including this text, all the sutras are included in the visualization. Right below that is a ring of bodhisattvas that are all have part to do with medicine Buddha practice. And below that, to our left, are all the protectors of the practice, and practitioners to the right, yaksha chieftains, that, according to Trungpa Rinpoche, have to do with gods of wealth. And then the 4 main gates of the palace are protectors of the palace and the kings of the palace. Not kings, but the protectors, I would call them. So, but medicine Buddha has not yet entered the room, so we need to go through that right now. So I'm going to look one more time. So if you wish, you could use this visualization. Just imagine he's already there. But if you want to, the one point where it mentions the blue hung, so on page 8, line 1, at the very end of that line, it says, there are blue hungs, the seed of myself and the principle of the front generation. And from these arise Menla, and this is how it works. From the home in your heart, that blue light and the blue light that's sitting on the lotus and moon, light rays shoot out and make offerings to all Buddhas of the past associated with medicine Buddha, and come back to that blue home in both of us. So we sent light rays out, and then the light rays come back in the form of blessings to do this practice today. Then we send light rays out, down and out, to remove the suffering of all sentient beings. And then the light rays come back to the heart, to where the hung is in the front, and the self-generation, and medicine Buddha is there like that. So this is how, in most of our deity practices, we bring the deity to the room. But if that's too involved, don't do it. Just think medicine Buddha's there. But it's a really powerful exercise to send light out, come back. It's like a birthing process. And then medicine Buddha is there after we made offerings to the medicine Buddhas and other beings of the past that are all associated with this practice. So innumerable, the sky is filled. Comes back as blessings, and they're all so happy to send it. And then the light goes down and out, removing the suffering of every living being, because that's the activity of the practice. And to come back, and in that instant, the light is actually medicine Buddha. And he is seated there, looking the way we showed in all the pictures. And his heart is that blue home still. It's the seed syllable of his practice. Every practice has a different seed, has often the same or different seed syllable. And in his heart, he actually has a mandala of his mantra, which is seated on the lotus. And in the very middle is the home. So we'll get to that in a second. Is this kind of making sense now? So we could go through everybody else, but I think the most important thing is how to get Medicine Buddha into the room. So now he's in the room. So now, then, and the text went through, and on page 8 described all of his features. And we talked about what he was holding in his hand. He looks like he is a Buddha. And then it also touched on that there were 7 other Medicine Buddhas. And then the Bodhisattvas, and then the guardians, and the great chiefs called Yaksha chieftains, and then the guardians of the gates, the 4 gates. And it says, from the 3 syllables in the 3 places of all, and from the home in the heart, light is projected, and this invites countless yeshivas from their individual Eastern Buddha realms, and they dissolve into the self in the frontal generations. So you can also do that at this point, because though we kind of made a pretend Medicine Buddha, he's really not here until it's almost like been empowered to come now. You see, activity of all Buddhas, if they are asked to come, they come. And it's very important that you know that the Buddhas want to be asked to help, to come. That is their activity, but we have to do the asking. So it's lovely in these practices where we do that. So at this point, it is now 11:10. I think we could take a break. And I'll stay behind if there's any specific questions or confusing.
I have a question, Amo.
Go ahead.
The text, the text doesn't seem like on pages 8, like the top of page 8, it doesn't seem to follow that typical 9-syllable pattern. You
yes.
see, it seems like
okay.
it's a very, very long sentence. And
so
also,
what it is it's just often when there is a visualization. Where are you, Chugya? I know you're here somewhere. There you are. Normally when there is a visualization, it's not that way. It's just a run-on sentences that are just about, we just chant that. We don't use a tune. It's just a straight chant, like Tompa ni du yor, Tompe. Or you could at home just chant it. Just Tompa ni du, or just say it out loud. But
and
that's
then
true.
And then at the end of that, that character that we see at the end of all of these sentences or secons it's like a circle, a line, and another circle. You see that at the very end of page 8, at the very top of that very first long line.
Wait, page 8.
Yeah, it's at the end of all the lines actually.
Oh,
it's that character at the end of that circle, the line, and another circle below it. Yeah,
that's because I'm just looking. These are from termas. Remember how I said this was from a terma, meaning it was a mind treasure. It was revealed to him. If it's a terma, enigma, that's how you know it's that way in a book. Thank you, in the text.
Okay.
And it might not all be that way. I think if we would go, when we look at the supplication, they're not that way. So yeah, that's the difference.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. So I'm staying behind if anyone has a question right now. Is anyone lost? I'm always so worried. Helder, how are you doing? You know where we are?
Yes, I just found it here. Thank you.
Oh, good, good. I'm going to repeat this part again. This is the hardest part of the whole text, is this, because this is bringing your guests to the room, at the party. Lonnie, how are you doing? Unmute yourself. There we go. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. It's good to see you.
Same here. How is your son?
He is not so good. He has dialysis these days. He has.
Oh my gosh.
He's awaiting a transplant, but he became engaged on the 1st of June. He's very happy.
Oh, that's great.
He had to put his doggy down last week, so
that's hard. Yeah.
His life is complex. So I'm better. I'm better than that.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I have a question.
Yes. Hi,
I,
Sally.
hi. Does hung have a meaning?
It's a seed syllable. So no, I don't know if it does or not. You know, like it has so many meanings, but home is often used at the end of mantras and as the seed syllable of mantras, but I don't know the meaning.
And what is a seed syllable?
So like in this practice, often in the middle of in our hearts, we're going to be visualizing actually the mantra. And in the very middle of the mantra, it's sort of called the mantra circle. In the middle of that is, hold on, a few people trying to get in. In the middle of that is a seed syllable. Actually, is Lama Adam here? We could ask a Lama. Lama Adam, are you here? He might not be here right now. He might have stepped out.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, so did you ever learn what actual meaning of seed syllables are?
Yeah, seed syllables in general, or like the hung in particular? The hung I know, the hung, there's like 10 different meanings.
Wow.
And to be honest with you, I would have to review my notes.
Yeah, I would have to review my stuff too. Yeah, I agree.
So I get that it's not important then that you know the meaning, I think.
Well, it's kind of like, and thank you, Lama Adam. If you have any more comments, stay on in. Like when we do the mantra, we don't, like when we do Chenrezi's mantra, I know one translation is Hail, Jewel of the Lotus, but it's much more than that's just a literal translation. These mantras were given to these teachers, and they're very special sound vibrations that affect us in ways we don't even know. So, and Lama Kathy's here. She might have something to say about this. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. The shortcut didn't work. I've been busy monitoring and letting people in in the background. But anyway, the way I understand seed syllables is that they're like shorthand for the Buddha or Bodhisattva. They're like the essence. If you could sometimes we distill the essence of medicinal plants and put them into tinctures for medicinal purposes. Well, it is as though we have distilled the essence of that Buddha or Bodhisattva into a single letter. And so that's the significance of a seed syllable, which is why it's called a seed, like you put a seed in the ground and something grows from it. It also is a way of talking about our rebirth as an enlightened being. Right now we're confused, and we were born into this life a little confused, and we're practicing Dharma in order to get unconfused, right? So when we visualize a seed syllable that then becomes a deity, or the word deity is not good, but a seed syllable that becomes a Buddha, we're kind of reenacting our own conception and birth in a pure way. This is explained by Trungpa Rinpoche in his book, Creation and Completion, and I'll put the link in the, so the idea is that right now we're confused, and we're trying to get unconfused by doing these practices to see our own Buddha nature within. And so the seed syllable, visualizing the seed syllable, is one way of reenacting our rebirth in a pure way. So, and as for hung, yeah, lots and lots of meanings. I couldn't even, I'd have to go back and read all my notes about all the different meanings to it. But there you go. Thank you. I hope that helps, Sally. That help a little bit?
Good question.
She's nodding. Okay, great. I'll go back to being the monitor. But if you need me, I'll be around.
Thank you.
Okay, no thanks.
Hey, Lamo, this is Matthew. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I had a question. So I started doing Medicine Buddha in 2001, and I use a different tune. So when you started at the beginning with the refuge prayer, Yeah, it's completely different from what I've been using. So now I'm kind of sweating it a little.
So where did you learn medicine Buddha? At the center?
Yeah.
Right. In the old days, we did one tune, and then I'm pretty certain we're probably doing a Trangha Monastery tune, which is not unusual for us. But the tune was changed when we all started learning the Amitabha, doing long Amitabha retreats, and this is a kind of a common tune for some of those practices. So do whatever you're used to doing. I'm so sorry I'm causing you to sweat today.
No,
The
no, it's fine.
most important thing is what's in your heart and your motivation, and not to worry about that. A lot of people at home don't even use tunes. They just chant it because they don't want to be bothered by a tune. They just want to work on the visualization. But obviously you're more musical, so I would definitely use. I was leading Medicine Buddha before the pandemic at the center, and two people were actually very agitated with me because they were from the old days when Sweet Andrew Cashin used to lead it,
Yeah,
and
same.
that was the other tune. So I'm sorry for that.
No, no,
Oh,
that was
yeah.
fine.
So
No,
use
it's fine.
whatever works for you. But this is a tune we use at the monastery, and at most Trangha Rinpoche centers they use this tune. So yeah, it's a pretty much of a Kagyu tune, and I had to relearn it. I had to learn it.
I will probably do the same.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. And just take a couple more minutes. I've seen a few participants coming in. You're looking good.
Hey, Lomo, did the outline that you're using, was that sent in the information with the eBright stuff?
It
With the
was.
it was
It was.
okay.
But I can always resend it later. Yeah.
Okay. Would you mind? For some reason I can't find that. I don't know why.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll send it.
What do you need? I could do it.
Yeah. Could you send my handout?
Sure, coming right up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have to bring something. I have to bring up a newer version. I don't have that version on me, so. Let's see, is almost everyone back? Almost. Okay, I think we'll start up again. So we just brought the deity to the room. And for a moment, I'm going to kind of repeat maybe a few slightly different words based on Trangha Rinpoche's teaching. Let me find Trangha Rinpoche's book here. It's hiding. Okay, so I thought first I would, before we move back into the text, I would make a major correction I think I made by mistake. The Namchu text is from Mingyur Dorje. I think I said Mikyo Dorje. I'm so sorry, I do that practice, so sometimes I make that mistake. from Mingyur Dorje Rinpoche, who lived in the 1600s, who was a revealer of many of our wonderful texts. So I thought I would touch a little bit more about what the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, said of this practice. So let's go back in ancient times. Whenever, in the sutras, whenever they speak of a teaching, it is done this way. The sutra will mention where the Buddha was living, who asked for the teachings, and then often would then explain what they had asked. So in this setting, the Sutra of Medicine Buddha, where it's called the Medicine Buddha Sutra, where it explains the 12 aspirations Medicine Buddha made before he was enlightened. The Buddha was living in Vaishali, which is one of the major cities in India. Back, we're talking, 600 years or 500 years before Christ was born. And it goes like this. Facing the Buddha and taking the Bodhisattva posture, Manjushri asked the Buddha to teach about those Buddhas in the past who had made extraordinary aspirations for the benefit of beings. What were their aspirations? And what were the benefits of recollecting their names back then? He asked him to explain these things for the benefit of beings in the future. So we're getting that benefit. The Buddha's first response to Manjushri's request was to praise him and thank him for making that request. Addressing Manjushri, the Buddha said, "It is excellent and fitting that you have made this request. And because of your motivation in doing so is compassionate and is the wish to bring about the meaning of purification of obscurations in general, and especially the means of eradicating sickness of beings in the future." While praising Manjushri for making this request, the Buddha enjoins him to listen well to the detailed explanation he was about to give. The Buddha said, "Manjushri, for this reason, listen well, listen fully, and hold this in your mind." Listening well meant to listen with appropriate motivation. Fully was to be attentive and to hold it in your mind. Then the Buddha told Manjushri that in the eastern direction, that is considered where Medicine Buddha's realm is, innumerable realms away, which means that if you pass beyond this particular realm of Shakyamuni Buddha and go in the eastern direction past a truly large number of other realms, you will reach the Buddha's realm called Light of Vajra, the light of Lapis Lazuli. And in that realm abides Buddha Vaisajaya Guru, or Medicine Buddha. The Buddha tells Manjushri, because of his 12 extraordinary aspirations made by Medicine Buddha before he even became enlightened, and that's how it normally is done, and while he was still engaged in the practice or conduct of a bodhisattva, there was tremendous benefit in recollecting his name. So then he went on to explain that even with these 12 aspirations, there were also a body, speech, and mind, Medicine Buddha, that can enter into us even at this time. So then I thought for just a moment I would touch, well, what are these? Trungpa Rinpoche has this in the book in a nice condensed version. They're very long, so I'm just going to fly through them. So the first aspiration was speaking of filling the universe with light. And may all sentient beings be adorned with the 32 marks and the 80 characteristics of a Buddha. So may we all become a Buddha like him. Also, the second one was, may my light come in the direction bringing happiness and contentment for all living beings, and may they have victorious activity. So his third aspiration, may no one be deprived of anything. The fourth, may all follow the perfect path and not follow a negative path. The fifth one is regarding vows. May those who are disciplined have any problem with corruption, may their vows be fixed. The sixth has to do with, at the future time, it said, let's see. May any sentient being who has an inferior body, incomplete facilities, unpleasant odor, virulent epidemic disease, impaired limbs, hunchback, skin disease, lame, blind, deaf, insane, or struck by illness, upon hearing my name for each one, may their faculties become whole and their limbs be made perfect. The seventh one is regarding pain. Those that are riddled with pain due to illness, may that be removed. And the eighth has to do with, may those be liberated from taking negative birth against. So may we have an excellent rebirth. The ninth has to do with, oh, and all of these are also regarding hearing his speech, which is through the mantra, heals so many of these things. The ninth one, I will establish in the correct view if there was any disharmony due to various views and problems or discord with the one, may they become a bodhisattva. The 10th is regarding if those are suffering from being terrorized by rulers, they're being tortured in bondage, have them beaten, may that be removed. And may their body, speech, and mind, all their suffering of that be removed. The 11th, I'm almost done. Has to do with those that are lacking in any food. May they find food that heals them and nourishes them. And the 12th aspiration, I'll read the whole thing. At a future time when I have attained unsurpassable, ultimate, perfectly complete enlightenment, having come to a full awakening, for those who experience suffering day and night, being naked with no clothes to wear, poor and miserable, too cold or too hot, afflicted by flies and maggots, I will give generously whatever they can enjoy, such as clothes. I will fill all their wishes, including enjoying things of comfort, clothing, necklaces, ointments, sounds of music, musical instruments. So those are just some of the many gifts that Medicine Buddha had given us. So now going back to the text, I'm going to repeat that one more time what we had done, because this is probably the most important thing, how to get the Buddha to the room. And it's very well written out here in the text. So again, I'm going to read the end of page 7. Everything becomes emptiness. I'm reading in English. From emptiness, and you can read together with me. I'm on the top of 8 now. From emptiness, these billion worlds arise as a palace of beauty. Inside it, on individual lion thrones, lotuses and moons are the blue kungs, the seeds of myself and the principle of the front generation. So that means that we're on a throne, lotus and moon, and the home is sitting on top of that. From these arise Menla, who is blue, radiating light rays like lapis lazuli. So that's the color. I think most of people know lapis lazuli is, some people call it royal blue, a very rich, deeply saturated blue. He is adorned by the 3 Dharma robes of a Buddha. His right hand holds Aurora with the mudra of supreme generosity, and his left hand holds a begging bowl in the mudra of even placement. And I had mentioned the begging bowl is filled with healing substances. And the plant he's holding is also a healing plant. He is adorned by the major and minor marks and is seated in Vajra posture. On the petals of the front generation in particular are the 7 Buddhists, such as Munidra, and then there were 6 others, including Shakyamuni Buddha, and the Dharma books. But a little bit lower and surrounding that manda, that circle, are the 16 bodhisattvas that are associated with this practice. And a little lower and surrounding them are the 10 guardians of the world to his right, our left, and the 12 great chiefs with their retinues. And at the 4 gates are the 4 great kings. And then the invitation is from the 3 syllables and the 3 places of awe, So we could actually include the medicine Buddha, at our heart, we have the home, the lotus, moon, and home. The medicine Buddha in front of us has this. 7 other medicine Buddhas have the same situation. All the bodhisattvas, you could include all of them, but it's really, I think, easier just to have it be you and the frontal visualization. Light rays spring up from the home, making offerings to all the Buddhas and bodhisattvas that have any connection with this practice, particularly to medicine Buddha realm in the eastern direction. The light rays come back as blessings and enter the home in the hearts, the home that's seated on the lotus and moon. And then again, the light goes down and out, removing the suffering of all living beings, comes back to the home. And in that second, medicine Buddha is now seated on a lotus and moon and a throne. So now we are on page, let's see, page 9. And even here, it very nicely describes it on page 9 on the middle line from the 3 syllables. So there is a om, a hum, we could say also in the 3 places of all. And from the home in the heart, light is projected and invites the true medicine Buddhas to come from their individual Buddha, Eastern Buddha realms. And they dissolve into the self and front generation. So in the beginning, if you wish, you could imagine you are actually medicine Buddha, but you're kind of pretending. But now we've actually prayed to medicine Buddha's realm and had him actually fill us. So we are now medicine Buddha. So you're all who? Medicine Buddha. So now to make that even stronger. Now we're going to go a little bit further into the practice. We're now on page 9 on the last line. Looking, I must have skipped on my notes. So Trungpa Rinpoche said that actually inviting medicine Buddha is done in order to counteract the doubt that this is more than just a visualization exercise. So you visualize and recite the invitation in the 3 places of the self, of you as medicine Buddha in the frontal, and if possible, all the other deities in the retinue. The rays of light from the blue home invite deities in the mandala to join us. They arrive in the sky between both visualizations, the front and the self. And then they, in order to reinforce this, we say 2 mantras. So we are now the bottom of 9, last line, after the home, after the second stanza, which is home. It says, home, I invite the 8 Menla brothers and all deities without exception. Please rain down great splendor, bestow supreme empowerment upon me, who am worthy and faithful. Please dispel false guides and obstacles to the longevity. And then we actually say a mantra, Namo Mahabe Kanti Saparivara Benza Samayasa. So I'm going to go through both of those. But now let's go back. Now we're going to chant again with a tune. So at the bottom of 9, let's begin. Om Menla Tegela Soma Lupa Niju Chinjun Chichen Waptu So Garden De Dindala Wan Shukur Lordre Seye Pache Sadhu So Namo Mahavekanze Sapari. I'm just going to look at the Tibetan. Namo Bhikkante Sapari Wara. Wara is actually, there's a little, something is missing here. So it should read Namo Maha Bhikkante Sapari Wa, and then a Ra is missing, R-A. Benza Samayatsa. Benza Samaya Tikdralen. So now let's talk about these 2 mantras. So we've actually now invited the true wisdom deities to come in the 3 places. So now we're Medicine Buddha. In our forehead, and the Medicine Buddha in front, there is a white Om in the forehead in the very middle. And of course, we are made of light. So we're not so solid. So a white Om in the very middle, at the throat, red. What do I forget all these things? I haven't done this in so long. We have Om, Ah, Hum, and a blue Hum in the heart. And so these Buddhas come and they arrive in the sky. So we've actually invited them to come. And they hover between the frontal whole mandala in front of us and us. And then we say 2 mantras to them. Namo Mahabe Kanze Sapari Vara Benza Samayadza. And the translation is, please come to this place and rain down your great blessing upon us and others. Then we say Benza Samaya Tiktra Len. Sometimes people translate that as, please be seated, but the actual translation is, through the power of your unchanging commitment to the welfare and liberation of beings, please dissolve inseparably into me and remain with me stably. So you've asked them to please come down. So again, remember, we're now using Sanskritized mantras to actually say, please come, rain down your blessings. And also, please, as due to your commitment for the welfare of all beings, please remain inseparably with me at this time. Then, think that all the invited deities, reminded of their commitment with their compassion, dissolve into the self and the frontal deities. Think that your body, speech, and mind visualize as Medicine Buddha, and the body, speech, and mind of Medicine Buddha are now indivisible. So now we are truly Medicine Buddha. And in order to remind ourselves a little bit of that again, we so beautifully now, there is an empowerment. The next 5 seed syllables on page 10, the second line, Om, Hum, Tram, Ri, Ah, is actually an empowerment of the 5 Buddhas. And let me read on this because this is very interesting. Again, the purpose is a remedy for one's obscurations, our wrongdoing, and our conceptualization. So you visualize from the 3 places of the frontal and the self, 3 syllables, we invite the 5 male Buddhas of the 5 families of the retinues from the pure realms. So the 5 Buddhas are holding precious vases filled with wisdom nectar, and they pour this into the self-visualized Medicine Buddha through the aperture, the center of your head, or back a little bit on your crown. And it's done by all 5 of them. So basically, the crown of your head is filled with 5 Buddhas, a different placement, which we're going to go through with a mudra. And they're filling you with more substance to remind yourself of who you really are, your true identity at this point. And it's done like this. And I think I have this on the handout pretty well. But of course, I don't have the handout, the right one with me, so I have to look on my phone. Sure I'm saying it right. So you see how it says Om Hum Tram Riya. So we're going to take our hands. We're going to first, we use the middle finger. And this is symbolic of Airochana. And he's seated on the crown of our head. See, can you? Okay. That's Om. Next, index finger only is sticking up. And this comes to our forehead. That's Hum. That's Akshobhya. The next is our ring finger. So this gets fun for arthritic people. So now we're at our ring finger. This is Ratna Sambhava, and it's under your left ear. Then Amitabha is your thumb. Put your thumbs together. He's actually in back of your head, but you're not to cross your head over. So you just take it a little bit further to the left. And the last one is the Moga Siddhi with your little finger goes under your right ear. So I'm going to show you how it's normally done. Om, Hum, Tram, Ri, Ah. So again, I'll say it differently. Om, middle finger. Then Hum, index finger at the forehead. Tram is under our left ear, and that is with the ring finger. And then Ri is in back, and so we actually use the thumb. This is Ri, all the way around the back, a little bit further. And then the last one is the little finger, and it's done under the right ear. So again, I'll do it again. Om, Hum, Tram, Ri, Ah. And then you go Abi, Kansa, Hum. So may it enter into us, is we do that. And so you'll learn all this. This is all written down. It's written in all kinds of different places, including Trungpa Rinpoche's book. And the handout I sent you, it's all of that is in there. So it's really wonderful. First, we pretended we were Medicine Buddha. Then the true Medicine Buddha came and filled us the true essence of who we truly are, a true identity as being a Buddha. And then in order to make it even stronger, now we've been blessed by the 5 Buddha families. Okay, and then we say Abi Kensa Hum. Abi Kensa is Sanskrit for empowerment. So may the empowerment enter into us. Excuse me. Let's see. So you visualize that this wisdom nectar fills your entire body, not just your head. And you think that it purifies all the wrongdoing, obscurations, and defilements of any kind, of body, speech, and mind, particularly that which gets in the way of this practice right now. So you feel it. It's very purifying. Next comes a much easier part. So I think the hardest part of the practice for a new person is to visualize being a Buddha and having the true Buddhas come and entering into you, empowering you, literally empowering you in this practice. It's beautiful. And now we make offerings to them. And then we're going to have praise, and then we're going to move on to the mantra. So now we're going to move a little quicker. So there are, and it's very common. So if you had the most precious guests come and enter into you and fill you with all of their beauty and their substance and their light and their healing energy, of course you would want to make offerings of joy. And so now let me look here on the offerings. And also the offerings are wonderful because this is how the practice is very special in that we are Medicine Buddha in this practice. And there's and it has a lot to do with learning our identity, but also in this practice, we develop and accumulate a great deal of merit by doing the next part. So it's on page 10. We're now on page 10, and we're actually on the second line, and let's see. We're now at home, the second home there on the second line, where you see the word Maytober, I offer the deity flowers. So I thought in this part, it'd be nice if maybe we read it in English. And I'm going to go over the different types of, offerings we're making, because we're making many different types of offerings. And how do we do this? Trungpa Rinpoche says, we as Medicine Buddha, which, how many of you fully believe you're Medicine Buddha right now? So we should all think we're Medicine Buddha, but I know right now, of course at home you're going to really be working on this. But the method is this. Us as the self-visualized Medicine Buddha makes offerings to the frontal Medicine Buddha. And if you want to be really fancy, we're going to use offering goddesses. Offering goddesses are holding various offering substances which they present to all the deities of the frontal visualization. So I know some people here do this practice, and I think this might be, sometimes when we start doing a practice a lot, we kind of cut out things that we just want to get right to the mantra or something. But this is a wonderful place to start working on that. But for new people, I don't know if you want to, I'm going to be taking a lot of questions maybe later on, but right now I'd like everyone to just focus on this if we can. So right now, I want you just to focus on making offerings, or how beautiful offerings are. Later on, you could actually imagine from you these beautiful beings are flittering around making all these beautiful offerings. And so the method was making the offerings with or without the offering goddesses, And the rays of light emerge from your heart, and they go to the frontal medicine Buddha with all these beautiful offerings. And we're going to be making outer offerings, the 8 worldly offerings, and the 5 sense offerings. And then later we'll also be doing offerings per the sutra. So there's a lot of offering time here. So let's begin in English. On page 10, under this line 2, the third stanza actually begins with the word just hong, and then it says metok. Hong. I offer the deity flowers, incense, lamps, scents, forms, sounds, smells, taste, touch, and all things. We complete the 2 accumulations, and then we actually do mudras, which we're not going to get into heavily on how to do them today because of time. But most of you are familiar with the mudras. The first 8 offerings are the same style that we do in Amitabha. So, Argam, Padyam, Pupe, Dupe, Alake, Gende, Nevade, Shabda. And then we do a few extra for Medicine Buddha practice. So here we just said that we were making offerings of flowers, incense, lamps. By saying Argam, we're offering water to drink, and then Padyam is off water for bathing, Pupe or flowers, Dupe incense, Alake beautiful lights, Gende is scented water or perfumes, Newade, pardon me, is beautiful food and nutritious food. Shabda is music. Then it says Rupa is form. Shabda is again is music. Gende again is a repeat of I can't remember it. I only know them in like an order of perfume. And then we say rasa saparshe tatisa hung. So rasa is even more food than normal. And then I probably have this on here somewhere. No, I guess I don't. But anyway, these are going to be saying that. And then we actually imagine all of that is offered. All these beautiful substances are offered to Medicine Buddha. And then we play music or your bell, or just spend a moment and think beautiful. Because music is also a type of offering. Then next, I offer the deity, whom I offer the deity's foremost auspiciousness, the 8 substances, such as the foremost royal one, white mustard seed. May we complete the 2 accumulations, Mangalam Arta Siddhi Hum. So these are these are like 5 stanzas, 5 phrases or make up a stanza in this. So in this one, we're making a lot of these offerings are also in, if you do Mundro, in the mandala, you'll learn about all these different styles of offerings. So these are like ancient style of offerings. Next, I offer the deity foremost auspiciousness, the 8 symbols such as the foremost royal one, the vase. May all sentient beings complete the 2 accumulations. Let me look here, I think I might have all of these. All right, let me read them. We first talked about the 8 auspicious substances. These are due to commemorating a specific event connected with the arisal of Dharma in the world. Part of them are the conch shell, the Indra offered to the Buddha for turning the wheel of Dharma, yogurt offered to the Buddha when he was hungry and emaciated, Durva grass, which he sat upon during enlightenment. Vermilion is that red substance sometimes you see on, I can't remember if it was given by His Holiness a few years ago. Offering of goddesses such as of the earth at the Buddha's moment of earth touching, the bilva fruit where he meditated upon the 4 sights, a mirror. After the yogurt, he looked and saw form no longer emaciated and manifesting signs and marks of the Buddha. The elephant's gallbladder, I'm sorry, it's in the ancient text, Yivam, commemorating the moments in his life, symbolic of overcoming aggression. Mustard seed as another type of offering. Then there were the, on page 11, the second line on the 4th stanza, the 8 auspicious signs. This was where it says, after the Mangalam Arta Siddhi Hong, at the very end on line 2, I offer the deity foremost auspicious. These are sign and marks reminiscent or emblems of the Buddha's bodies. This included the parasol, the fish, the vase, the conch, the victory banner, the glorious knot, the lotus, and the wheel found in the sole of his foot. Then this has also to do with, so the symbolism is, many of you have seen these banners called Tache de Hargay, where you'll see a parasol, it symbolizes his head, then two fish, which are his eyes. His throat is visualized by a vase, his speech a conch shell, his form is a victory banner, his heart is symbolized as a glorious knot, his tongue a lotus, his wheel is found, the wheel on the sole of his foot. Then next on page 11, on the very bottom of page 11, again, another style of offering where it is the 7 articles of royalty. Let's see, at the very end of line 3 on page 11, Hung, I offer the deity the roots of desirable qualities, the 7 precious things, such as the foremost royal one. They often mention just one. May I complete the 2 accumulations, so the 7 precious things of articles of royalty are things always found in the entourage of a Chakravartin, representing the 7 aspects of the path to awakening. This is the precious jewel, precious wheel, consort of the monarch, precious horse, precious minister, precious elephant, and precious general. Again, if you do mandala, you will recognize all of these. So then lastly, of all the things that we offer, the first set of offerings is a mandala. So this is on page 12, where we can actually put our hands, line 1, the last phrase. Hung, I offer the deity, the foremost of all, the supreme mountain, 4 continents and subcontinents. May the 2 accumulations be completed. Om Rana Mandala Hum. Here we would actually do the mandala with our hands. And that we're actually offering him the entire universe. And then now we move into a different style of offering. And this has to do more offerings of ablution associated with, remember I said this also has to do with, I told you the offerings are long, we're almost done with them. So I also mentioned that this has a sutra theme to it. Here, this is touching on the sutras. We're now on page 12, line 2, the very last phrase. It says, Hung Daki Gidri Dandricha. Hung, with scented water, I washed the Sukkata's body. Sukkata is medicine Buddha. He is without stain. I am creating the auspicious condition for purification of wrongs and obscurations. Om Sarvata Takata Abhike Kate Samaya Shuddhi Hum. So that is associated with that practice. The second one is to dry his body. On the top of page 13, and you can read it with me in English. Hung, with soft scented white cotton, I dry the victor's body. The deity is without stain. I'm creating the auspicious conditions for freedom from suffering. Om Kayo Bishodani Hum. So the first 4 little phrases there were in Tibetan, but the last one is Sanskritized Tibetan. So remember how I said the Tibetans usually mix them both to make sure it's covered correctly. So we just dried his body. The last one is to clothe him. On 13, line 2, Hung, with beautiful saffron robes, I clothe the victor's body. The body is never cold. I'm creating the auspicious conditions for flourishing of radiance and vitality. So just by doing those 3 things, we created first auspicious conditions for purification of wrongs and obscurations. The second one was to create auspicious conditions for freedom from suffering. And the last one for flourishing of radiance and vitality. And then, so we're getting now very close to the mantra, which is actually the mantra is at the very end of the whole practice. Excuse me, getting a drink of water. I'm sorry we didn't do these in Tibetan, but I think it's really nice to know what they are because they're very special. And next, before we get to the mantra, we just did offerings. Now we're going to do praises. Whenever there's a praise, we would put our hands in prayer mudra. So I think now from this point forward, I'm going to first talk about what to think about when we're doing this, then we're going to do it in Tibetan. So the method is, imagine that offering goddesses emanated from light rays from your heart. Actually sing the praise to these deities in front of you, using the words of the liturgy with the most beautiful melody. So praise the qualities of body, speech, and mind of Medicine Buddha and the retinue. And why do you do this? To remind oneself, the practitioner. So it's an interesting thing. We're both a practitioner and Medicine Buddha. So I don't think we need counseling for that, but we kind of flip back and forth a little bit. So here during the praise, we do this to remind ourselves of the qualities of the deities and to increase our devotion, our resolve, and our connection with Medicine Buddha. So in Tibetan, page 13, line 3, at about the second, right after the home is sitting by itself, it says, we'll start at home. Om Kuda Pendurya Yidri Odra Roasem Cheneki Dunga Sa Janchut Sambakeki Kor Ki Kor Rinchen Mensen Lala Chatsa To Selerita Sesanya Yen Me Chudang Yatso Chula Shakya Tu Dambe Judan Semba Chun So Kunjorin Chen Sumla Chatsa Tu Sadang Yachin Chu Jun Chu Nujun Te Punchuni Yondam Chela Min Mengi It's in Dran So Le Dutse Mengi Lala Chatsatu. In the English, let's say that together. Going back to the bottom of 13. Home. Homage and praise to the precious holder of medicine, whose body is like a mountain of lapis, who dispels the suffering of being, sickness, and is surrounded by a retinue of 8 bodhisattvas. Homage and praise to the 3 jewels, to excellent, these are the other Medicine Buddhas, to excellent name, precious moon, good gold, no misery, ocean of Dharma, Dharma mind, and Shakyamuni, to the sacred Dharma, the 16 bodhisattvas, and so forth. Homage and praise to the deities of ambrosial medicine, to Brahma, Indra, the great kings, the 10 protectors of the 10 directions, the 12 Yaksha chiefs, together with their attendants, and the Vaijuras and Rishis of medicine, both divine and human. And this has to go way back in time, all those associated with this beautiful practice. And now, after all that activity, now we're going to get right down to doing the mantra. So let's chant one more phrase at the bottom of 14. Un datun tukar hunla nga chengi kovar. That was just a straight chant. The home in the heart of the self and front generation is surrounded by the mantra garland. So before we talk about the visualization, I just want to show you. The mantra is on page 15, the top of the page. It's Teyata Om Bekanze Maha Bekanze Raja Samugate Soha. I don't know if Lama Kathy or Lama Adam are there right now. It would be nice if you read that to us, just that part as a little transmission. Maybe they're not here.
I'm here. Let's see if Lama Adam is here. He might not be on audio right now.
I'm here, yeah.
So what do you need, Lama?
I would like one of you or together. You know how Rinpoche would always go, Teata, and then we would say Teata. I would love that for both of you or one of you, so that we can have the transmission of the mantra from a Lama.
Okay, I think we can do that. What do you think, Lama Adam?
If you lead the way, I'll follow.
Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to recite it 3 times. I'll have Lamo recite it the first time, and then I'll recite it second time. You recite it third time. How's that?
No, I don't need to do it. You do it.
Okay. All right. All right.
I'm
It's a
fine.
mantra. Well, all righty then. Okay.
I have to confess, I stepped away. Which page are we on the
Oh, we're on page 15 at the very top is the whole mantra there, Teata.
Okay, got it.
So-
I'll do it, Lama Kathy. I'll
Yeah,
do
please.
one.
Yeah,
How's that?
because here's the thing. We've been told by our lamas that it's that we can't give reading transmissions over Zoom or
Right.
or audio, but I still think it's a lovely idea, and I think we should just do it anyhow.
Well, maybe not transmission, but it would be nice that not everyone is familiar with this, and it's a 22 syllable mantra, so I
Yeah.
think it's nice to hear it.
Yeah.
And I even have a video of Rinpoche doing this, just of this. It's just my favorite thing. Okay, so I'll just say part of it, and then all of you will repeat it after me. Teata, Teata, Om Be Kanze Be Kanze, Om Be Kanze Be Kanze, Maha Be Kanze, Maha Be Kanze, Raza, Raza, Samugate, Samugate, Soha. So together it's Teata, Om Be Kanze, Maha Be Kanze, Raza Samugate Soha. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks. Okay, this is kind of good. It feels right. So I'll recite it all the way through also, and you can repeat each syllable after me. Teata,
Teata,
Om,
Om
Bekanze,
Be
Bekanze,
Kanze,
Bekanze,
Maha,
Maha,
Bekanze,
Be Kanze,
Bekanze,
Radza,
Raza,
Raza,
Samun,
Samud,
Samu,
Gate,
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 Soha.
So,
Soha.
Okay, next. La Madam.
Oh, my turn. Teata,
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 Om,
Om,
Bekanze,
Be Kanze,
Bekanze,
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 Maha,
Maha,
Bekanze,
Bekanze,
Raza,
Raza,
Radsa,
Samu,
Samu,
Mu,
Gate,
Gate,
Soha.
Soha.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. And so I'm going to say something that I recently heard Kemper say. I've been trying to go back hearing teachings, and because I miss him so dearly at times, and I love hearing his voice. And he taught the most wonderful thing about how to say a mantra. The most important thing with a mantra, and this is Kempo Karchen Rinpoche, not Chang Rinpoche. The most important thing about saying a mantra is just to say it correctly. And don't go too fast. When you go too fast in the beginning, you really mispronunciate. You cut syllables out, not even knowing it. And try to hold in mind the visualization, which makes it easier. But in the beginning, you've got to learn the mantra. And when you do so, and if over time you've done it slowly and correctly, you will automatically start getting faster and faster. Don't try and speed up in the beginning so that you can get mantras done. It doesn't work. By doing it slowly with great tenderness and respect, really allows you over time to speed up so that it's always on your lips or in your heart if it's needed. So I just wanted to share that little tidbit. Okay, so now we only have, less than half an hour. Let me get going here. Now we're going to talk about the mantra. And because I stress a lot today regarding Medicine Buddha's aspirations, because of his aspirations, most of them have a connection with his name. I am not going to translate the mantra because most mantras were encouraged not to translate that often as much as talk about its significance. Most of this mantra touches on his name or aspects of his name. So when we do this, we're actually saying his name. And we do include the Teata. There are some mantras of Medicine Buddha that are a little longer than this, but in our tradition, we normally use this one. Not always, but we do. So I'm going to read a little bit of what Trungpa Rinpoche said on the mantra. So the mantra, so there's different stages to it. First, we're going to talk about the mantra in order to helping all living beings. And at one point in the mantra, there's another visualization we can do if we ourselves are suffering from something and need healing. First, let's do the bigger picture. We visualize, again, whenever we do a sadhana practice, I've done this practice for how many years now, and I still have to take moments to remind myself where I'm at in the practice and the beauty of the practice and relax. I think the biggest secret in the practice is to make sure you do shamatha at some point in your day so that your mind is much more relaxed and open for the deity practices. Because there's so many details. And if the details are too much, hone it way down. So it's a really simple visualization. But this part's pretty simple. First, I'm going to remind you of the features of Medicine Buddha. So I'm sorry, there's some loud humming noise outside. There's always something going on in our neighborhood anymore. So remind yourself of your features, of what you look like. And to always remind you, you're made of light. You're no longer a solid body. You look like you have a body, but it's made of blue light. And at your forehead, you had a white Om, at your throat, a red Ah, and a blue Hung in your heart. Also in the heart center, I had mentioned, there is this beautiful, almost like a Hawaiian lei. It's called a mantra garland in your heart center. And there is the mantra of Medicine Buddha. And they're all, each pieces of the mantra are sticking up like little, each syllable is like a little pin sticking up. But you don't have to worry about all that detail. Just remember it's in your heart. If you like the details like I love, go for that, but don't worry. Later on, you can fill in more details. The mantra is facing, it goes counterclockwise and it's facing outward, just to let you know. And I've never read anywhere where they talk about it doesn't move, it's not spinning, it's just there in the heart. And from it, rays of light are constantly coming off. And also for Medicine Buddha's body, from his forehead, throat, and heart, blue rays are constant, multicolored lights, particularly blue, are going throughout the universe. So in this practice, you visualize from your heart and the Medicine Buddha's heart in front of you. You concentrate on both of them. Light rays are emitted, particularly from the mantra garland. So for you, you send them to the frontal Medicine Buddha. Just think of him right now. And then he sends the light rays to the Medicine Buddha and the Medicine Buddha's pure realm. And the light rays come back as blessings to you as Medicine Buddha, to you as a practitioner of body, speech, and mind. And the light rays come back as body, speech, and mind, the body as millions, an immeasurable amount of Medicine Buddhas made of light floating in the air, kind of coming down, filling you with that blessing. They weigh nothing, so they can't hurt you. They're just blessings in the form of that body. I said also speech is the mantra. The mantra comes down like little Hawaiian leis, just floating, filling the whole sky, but filling you and the frontal Medicine Buddha. Lastly, mind, body, speech, and mind, is actually the bowl that Medicine Buddha has in his lab, which is filled with healing substances, also filling you. You could visualize the body is fills your forehead, the speech, your throat, and the mind, your heart. The Tibetans do it differently. But it doesn't matter where it goes. And just for a few minutes, I would relax in that. This is why you're saying the mantra. If you don't know the mantra, that would be impossible to do. So you would say the mantra, maybe stop and refresh the visualization. Once you know the mantra, you can just have this kind of like, Vajrayana is kind of like doing everything all at once. Have that enter into you. So that's stage one. So let's do that for a few minutes. Again, I'll repeat it while you start saying the mantra. So let's start. The mantra, normally in the centers, we chant it out loud first, so everyone can learn it. And it has a little tune. And then we say it more silently, only so that your caller could hear the mantra. But at home, because there's so many animals here right now around our homes, so many people in need, I don't say this silently unless I'm in a public setting. I want to make sure every microbe hears it. So let's begin. Now we'll say this together. Sing it. Beganze, Mahabeganze, Raja Samugate Soa, Beatam Beganze, Beganze, Mahabeganze, Raja Samugate Soa, Beatam Beganze, Beganze, Mahabeganze, Raja Samugate So. And now you can do it on your own quietly at any speed you wish. And while you're doing it, I'm going to remind you of the visualization. You are a blue Buddha, medicine Buddha, and the medicine Buddha is in front of you. The light from your heart, from your mantra, went to the frontal medicine Buddha, which went to the Eastern Buddha realm of medicine Buddha. And rays of light came back and blessings from medicine Buddha. He was so pleased that we're doing the practice. And they come back in the form of body, speech, and mind of medicine Buddhas floating in the sky around you, made of light. The mantra coming, also purifying you. And then lastly, the Amrita and the begging bowl coming down. So we'll do this just for a few more minutes before we do any of the other meditations. Mahabeganze Radha Samagati Sawade, Beganze, Mahabeganze Radha Samagati Sawade, Mahabeganze Radha Samagati Sawade, Mahabeganze Samagati Sawade, So you might actually feel almost like a shower of blessings is coming out over you right now. And they just dissolve into you, a body, speech, and mind. She says to do this slowly. So the rays of light emerge from the self-visualization. They go to the frontal, from the frontal visualization to the pure realms, and slowly receive back into you blessings of your body, speech, and mind. So now you're filled with the blessings of medicine Buddha. If you need to, just stay here and do this part of the visualization. But there's more work that can be done. So now what about everyone else? So now that you're medicine Buddha, from your heart, you can send out blue rays of light to the entire world, or your city, or your block, your local hospital, where you work, your family. But it's always better, Trungpa Rinpoche said, to always pray for everyone, not just those we know. So at this point, just from you, and if that's too difficult, come from the frontal visualization. Rays of light from his heart go out and remove the suffering of all beings and bring great healing. So we're going to do that now, particularly due to the pain and suffering going on in the planet. You could even imagine that you are medicine Buddha seated above the world, sending light rays to the world. Let's just do that for a while. And I forgot to mention, if you wish, you can use your prayer beads, of course, your mala. We'll go over that later too. Okay, and now for a third style of visualization for the mantra. The one was you as medicine Buddha and the practitioner were filled with the blessings of medicine Buddha, a body, speech, and mind. And then after that blessing and that confidence is developed from your heart and or the frontal medicine Buddha and all the other medicine Buddhas in front of you and all those bodhisattvas and all medicine Buddhas throughout the universe and all time. Light rays are sent out to all sentient beings. You can envision the globe, the cosmos, the universe, people that you know that are in great need at this time. But as a practitioner, medicine Buddha is also a very special practice. And Karma Chagme Rinpoche in his books, Mountain Dharma, Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche and Trungpa Rinpoche both refer to this other meditation, which is for you. And it's okay, according to Trungpa Rinpoche, that you pray for healing of whatever you need. Because as a practitioner, you need to be healthy, right? We need to be healthy in order to help other people. And we have bodies that break down, and we're all full of emotions right now because of what's going on in the entire globe. And this is a practice, and this is the sweetest practice. You visualize the medicine Buddha above your crown. It could be as small as the first digit of your thumb, or it could be your four finger widths. And he comes down and enters through your crown, which is back here, 8 finger widths back from your forehead. And he's in the form of blue light. So you can envision him as medicine Buddha or just light. And he comes down and he goes to whatever is bothering you. You have a bad neck. Now I'm old, so I could start telling you about 5 different ways I could bring him in. Knees, hips, grief I feel for my job, lack of qualities that I want to develop. This is an all-purpose healing and for you alone as a practitioner. And you continue doing the mantra and you just feel him. Let's say a person suffers from migraines. He comes into the head, you visualize him in the head and just sending the most beautiful blue healing light and rest there for a while with that. So some of you may have no problems, and that's wonderful. So you can continue to do the other, but we're going to do this visualization for a few minutes of medicine Buddha, the size of your thumb coming down, entering into you, and removing whatever pain and suffering you're enduring. And now, for the end of the practice, this is a most unusual practice that we're almost at the full end. We do a prayer of asking for a confession we normally have a confession at the end of every practice. And we do that. At this point, we've not yet finished the dissolution. Often right after mantra, everything dissolves, that we're holding it right for a second. And we actually do a prayer of confession. So if I did anything wrong, I said anything wrong. Maybe I spaced out through the practice, which is not unusual for me, to be distracted, to be annoyed to having to sit here and do a practice. Sometimes we get annoyed that we have to do things, but we want to do it at the same time. Anything that gets in our way, we confess that. We ask for forgiveness. And of course, Medicine Buddha will forgive us for anything like that. And then also, we dedicate the virtue. We have just a short little line here. And may there be auspiciousness. And then we, let me see here. Okay, so then we just do that. So after the mantra, it's just 2 stanzas. We put our hands in prayer. We're at the top of 15. The 4th stanza over at dictum, I confess. Dictum kusange wajan chugno nedun tungadrawe trashisho. We have all this beautiful music we offer. Put our hands down on our lap. And now we say 3 more stanzas, and then we'll read it in English afterwards. Jekten panara neben zahambu yeshe dam silanam dala tim kada kunzanu du emao. So let's read all of that from the top of 15 over at dictum at the end there. I confess all wrong and downfalls, dedicate all virtue to awakening. May there be auspiciousness of freedom from sickness, sins, and suffering. The worldly ones return to their own places, meaning in part of the visualization, the protectors, the Buddha, they go back to their area. And we say Benzamu, which another time we'll go through mudras. Then we say the yeshivas and namsikvas dissolve into me. That's the imagined in the real visualization dissolves into me. And I into the all good expanse of primordial purity. Imaho, how wondrous. So right now, everything just dissolves. Now, let's see what Trungpa Rishi says about dissolution. You ask the protectors and the Yeshipas to leave. And the 8 medicine Buddhas in the front of you and the 16 Bodhisattvas dissolve into your heart as a self-visualization. This is traditional, that there's a sort of an order of how things are dissolved. Then the self gradually dissolves into light and then into expansive emptiness. Now you rest your mind in the experience of emptiness, and that is called the completion stage. So here, if you like to do things very fast, Khenpo Rishi told me years ago, you can instantly dissolve everything into your heart. And just like that, you're resting in the nature of your mind. whereas other people might want to go step by step. I think as a beginner, very important to go step by step, solving the frontal visualization. First of all, asking the protectors and the 4 protectors of the palace, for all of them to go back to their homes and thank them. Then have the bodhisattvas and all 8 medicine Buddhas dissolve into light into your heart. And then you dissolve into light and just rest on that and just open your mind and relax in your nature. And we'll sit here for about 30 seconds. And now, as you arise, you can remind yourself of being Medicine Buddha again. But if you're getting, today, most of you are not getting into a car, so you could just continue that way. But if you're getting into a car, just be yourself. So that is the practice, and we are, wow, it's 12:30. Okay, goodbye. No, I'm joking. So my goal had been for us to chant the whole thing together. I don't know if anyone wants to stay for that. I hope this kind of made sense, but in order to do a really fast synopsis, in the beginning, we were reminded of who to supplicate, who was involved in the creation of this practice. And then we actually did refuge, particularly from the point of view of refuge in the medicine Buddha tradition. We then went to everything became pure, and then we started doing the generation stage of medicine Buddha, of the self and the frontal, of changing, of shifting our identification. And then we actually, from our body, from our forehead, throat, and heart, sent light rays out to the true medicine Buddha, and then he dissolved into both the front and this self-generation. So then we were even further imbued with those blessings. And we, in fact, even received an empowerment from all the 5 Buddha families. After that, we made many different types of offerings from more the Tibetan and some from the Sutric tradition. And then at the end, we made praise, and then we actually did the mantra, which is a very simple visualization, actually. The praise takes a lot of time, but it's very special. I mean, all the offerings, but I really love them. Then at the end, everything dissolves and rest in your nature. So before I forget, I want to offer all of your merit, all of your time today, your dedication for being here, and all the work that everyone is doing to try and help others. It is so deeply appreciated. And may your activity flourish greatly. Lama Kathy and Lama Adam are there. May their teaching activity particularly flourish. And I just offer the merit of everyone and rejoice that you're even interested in this practice. If you're interested, tomorrow at 10 a.m. we're doing the practice at our center, well, online, it's Zoom. And tonight, Khenpo Urgyen is continuing on with his teachings. Is there any pressing questions? You guys can all unmic yourself right now. Let's open everything up. How do I do this? So you can
Lama, this is Adam. I actually had a second to check on that meaning of home.
Yeah. Oh, great.
What Rinpoche said was that, and this is kind of what Lama Kathy said with a little more, that it represents the mind and the heart of all Buddhas, the seed syllable of the mind and the heart of all Buddhas.
Oh, that's great to know.
Furthermore, he said it means a mind that realizes the limitlessness of the apprehended and the apprehending. In other words, the limitlessness of what we apprehend and the faculty that does the apprehending. Alternatively, it could mean a mind that is free of fixation on that which
Could
is
you
apprehended.
speak up just a little bit?
Yeah. So
Sorry.
it means a mind that realizes the emptiness of the apprehended, the limitlessness of the apprehended, and the faculty which does the apprehending. And alternatively, it could mean a mind that is free of fixation on the apprehended and the apprehending. In short, it refers to the wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. That's beautiful.
I'm glad I
Very
could find that.
Great. So are there any specific questions about this practice, or did you all memorize it and get it? Did it make sense? I always ask that. I just want to make sure it made sense. Let me go to page 2. Hi, everyone on page 2.
I think it makes sense, Lamo. I had a question about the mantra, though. I've heard it where they repeated the Bekense a second time after the Maha. So I've heard it Maha, Bekense, Bekense, Maha, Bekense, Bekense, Raja Sambhogate
Yeah.
Soha.
Yeah, there's different styles, but we don't do that way. And there's a few others with things added on it also, but we don't. But this is the one from. I want to make sure I say it right. From Mingyur Dorje, from his Namshu, from his text. This is how it was done.
Hey, Lamo, this is Matthew again. Could you show us the mandala mudra? Because over the years, I have no doubtedly, slipped and fingers have wiggled, etc. So could you give us a refresher on that?
Well, so my fingers are fingers of a 69-year-old woman, right? Who ate a lot of sugar, obviously. So I will try. Let me move my iPad. I don't want to drop my iPad is now dropping. Hold on. Oops. This will be, you're just looking at my belly right now. Like, what is that? Oh, let's see. Did I change the picture? There we go. Okay. So, there we go. So, Lama Kathy is like the best at teaching this, but I will try. So, the ultimate goal of this is to have your 2 ring fingers sticking straight up and your thumbs touching, pressing down on your little fingers and your index fingers pulling down your middle fingers. Does that make sense? So let's start. So there's several ways to do it. You can just bring your 2 hands together. And the first thing is I normally bring my right hand under my left. I'm intertwining my fingers. I'm going to turn this a little bit. I'm intertwining my fingers. I don't think you can see this any better. So I intertwine them. So just try it on your own and just listen to the instruction. It might make sense. Take the thumbs and press down the little fingers. Does that make sense? Then you kind of bring both hands kind of face each other backwards. And the 2 ring fingers are sticking straight up. And then I have a little X with my 2 middle fingers. And then I grab them each with my ring finger. Has anyone been able to do it? Anyone having problems? No. Okay. Mama Kathy, are you there? She's so good at this.
Yeah, I'm here.
Would you like to demonstrate? Would you like to demonstrate mandala?
I'll give it a shot.
What?
See if we can do it. See if we can do it. The way I like to think of it is, it's like, well, here it goes. You see the 2 pinky fingers? Place one in front of the other.
Yeah.
Hold them down with your thumbs. Now you got 4 fingers out of the way. So now continue holding
I like
your
her
pinky
way.
fingers with your thumbs and you'll be okay. Okay? Okay, so then the ring fingers kind of try to go back to back. Whether they can or not is going to be up to your anatomy. And then you grab the middle fingers with the opposite indexes.
Got it.
Okay. So let's try that again. Okay, you start with making the V shape, you know, it's like a V with your little fingers, and hold them down with your thumbs. Then don't move those. And then you've got 4 fingers out of the way, right? Then you try to put the ring fingers back to back as best you can. And then grab the middle fingers so they can't do bad things with your indexes, the opposite indexes. And then you have Mount Meru in the center, and then the 4 continents on around it. So there you go. I just always start with that thumbs.
Thank you.
Starting with the V and the thumbs, then I don't have to think so much.
Makes sense.
Somebody by the name of John. Let's see what page he's. John, are you still here? John asked a question about all the Buddhas. I don't see him. I'm sorry.
He might not be on still.
He might not be here now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the time's getting kind of late. I deeply apologize. We're running over. It's such a beautiful day. So I was thinking of doing a repeat of this class, but more of a review. Just like I like to kind of talk you through and not necessarily read it all, but just really understand the flow of it so that it becomes absolutely effortless. And also, you have all those resources now. And I forgot to mention, Michelle Martin just let me know the other day, this book, which is like the Bible of this practice, how to do the visualization, there's a newer version of it. It's in the back of me. I'll get it in a minute. You can get this for $2. I said, oh, there it is. Look at Tanya's. Tanya, you can hold it up. See, we both have. So this book is now, you can get it for $2 as a PDF from Namo Buddha Publications, just to let you know. So if you don't want to buy them, I mean, let's face it, we're all getting everything on PDFs now.
Namo Buddha
So just to share Namo Buddha Publications. So Lama Kathy and I talked this morning about doing this practice again. So I will let you know, but don't forget, tonight there is teaching on Medicine Buddha practice every Sunday night at KTD. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Don't be discouraged when you go there. They do 2 new prayers that you might not have remembered. The first prayer, they'll always do the Dorje Chong lineage prayer, the Karma Kagyu lineage prayer. And because this is a Nyingma text, they'll always do a Guru Rinpoche prayer. And then after that, they'll start this practice. And right before the mantra, there is a new insert for the 7 medicine Buddhas. It's really beautiful. And then they go into the mantras. So I just want to let you know that. And tomorrow at 10 a.m., we're doing Medicine Buddha, the center I'm leading. So you're all welcome to that. And if you have any questions then, you can always ask them. So I think we should have it. Anything else pressing? Just people can speak out loud.
That's great.
I put the down in the chat. I put
I saw. Thank you.
10 a.m.
Thank you.
Chenrezi. I mean, Medicine Buddha, so you can check it out. 10 a.m. Central. 10 a.m.
And thanks.
Right.
And thank you to Lama Kathy for all the work you
Yes.
did ahead of time. And thank you, Lama Adam, for letting me touch on you for your expertise. I love it. So why don't we just spend a moment again and just offer the merit of everyone that has done good for other people. And may everyone else benefit from that, because who we are today and our opportunities are because other people dedicated their merit. So we're all so connected. Always remember to dedicate the merit for others. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And we'll keep you informed. And don't forget, if you can't afford these classes, you can always pay it just $1. And if $1 is too much, let us know. We'll take care of it, all right? I just want to make sure, everyone, that this is available for everyone. Okay, thank you. See you later.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you again.
Bye.
Okay, so
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
So Lamo,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
you can formally stop recording with your button at the bottom
At the top,
or wherever.
okay. I stopped it.